get a goal. They need to set the tone early, maybe catch GCU sleeping a little bit, and they need to let GCU know, hey, we're here to play today. We may have lost last night, but you know what? It doesn't matter now. We're here today, and we're going to play you guys.
Players setting out to the field. Now, Michael, you're talking about the Lopes, what they have to respond to for Texas. What do the Lopes have to do specifically? If Texas is going to come out and try and set the tone, how do the Lopes answer that?
Well, they need to be able to respond to that. Texas is going to come out probably with a lot of fire, but GCU needs to be able to respond to that in an effective way. They need to be able to take control here at home. They haven't lost at home in a very long time. I believe their last loss was actually in a scrimmage years back, so they need to take advantage of being at home with the home crowd behind them, and they just really need to be able to respond to any kind of Texas threat early on.
All right, Michael, we're just about ready for game time. It'll be on the call Anthony Marroquin and Troy Lynch. For Michael Barron, I'm Brett Deckert. Your game action coming up in just a minute here on Walter Cronkite Sports Network. You're watching MCLA Lacrosse. We'll send it over to our commentators in just a moment.
And welcome to Grand Canyon University, home of the Lopes. As we got a great matchup today, we got the unranked Texas Longhorns playing the number 7 in the nation, GCU Lopes. Things have already gotten started. Ron Hamway won the face-off for the Lopes to open things up. But
Ron Hamway's been looking good all year.
Very, very good. If not, probably arguably one of the best face-off specialists in the league right now, maybe behind Zach Haney of the Arizona State Sun Devils, but he has been showing some great talent here on the field, and we saw that against Liberty just the other day when he had to face off against Charles Fianco, and now the Lopes with the early turnover as they're heading downfield. Last time that they played at home, they scored in the first under a minute.
So we'll see if they can do it again here. They're looking for goal again, but not looking to be as fast as last time.
No, absolutely. And Texas, they're going to have their hands full as they have to go against Carson Barton and Dean Farrell, Austin Eckeroth, Lucas DeYoung, who has the ball right now. Cody Clark setting the pick for him. He's setting up, going towards the middle. Traveling now to the right side, looking for somebody to pass to. He's got Dean Farrell, but he loses the ball. Also covered up by Hayden Klaus, who's also number 11. Lucas DeYoung now picks it up. Nice spin move. He was double teamed for a second. Now over to Carson Barton. Very, very dangerous. Second on his team in points with 34. Only one behind Dean Farrell. However, he does have the most goals on the team with 20. Now he finds some room. Hands it off to Lucas DeYoung, but checked right in front of the crease, and it's going to be a turnover. Turner Kerr, defensive captain for the Texas Longhorns, now taking it up the field, now towards the middle. But it passes a little too high, and they're going to have to reset. That pass intended for Noah Starr, one of the other captains for the Longhorns, leads the team in points. He has 17.
And Texas can't be doing this all game. If this is what they're going to be doing all game, they're going to have a hard time. We saw against Liberty how GCU managed to score so many goals because they had the ball so long. Ron Hamway giving them the ball most of the time.
And now a turnover. Lopes taking it up. Cody Clark now passes the midfield line. He's going to give it off to Austin Eckeroth, who has a brother on the team, Tyler Eckeroth. However, he is not playing today because just the other day before the Liberty match, he was breaking up a dog fight and got bit on his hand, left a huge gash, and now he's got stitches. He's got to wait for that to heal up. But a big loss for the Lopes. However, they do have a lot of firepower behind them to produce a lot of points, but still scoreless here in the first. 12:08 left to go, and Cody Olson taking it close to the midfield line, makes a nice juke to the left, looking for somebody to pass to, loses the ball, and it's going to be another turnover. William Goots taking it up, one of the long stick middies for the Longhorns. Now over to the left side, Noah Starr. Pass it to the X. Now Marshall Allen with the ball on the near side. Gives it right back to Rocky Rossiker. And the Longhorns playing some of their own lacrosse, being guarded by Eli Sason. And now making his charge, coming up, creeping up around the crease. And a nice shot there. That one was by Rocky Rossiker, but a turnover. Good save by Sujit. And a fake there by Nathan Smith. It gets it past midfield, one of the long stick middies for the Lopes. He said hi to me earlier in the broadcast, so
Did he?
that brightened my day. It sure did. Now Lopes still with the ball. Ryan Ferguson is one of the seniors on the team, taking it up, but he passes it over to Lucas DeYoung. Slowing things up over to Matt Mountain, who also has an interesting story. He did not play last year because he tore his ACL. So struggling to get back this year. He had 37 points as a freshman, and a quick shot rolling off the ground, but it's still going to be Lopes' ball. Lucas DeYoung was the closest person to it, as that one
nearly went in, just barely nicked the pole and went out.
Off the right post. Could have been the first goal of the game for the Lopes, but still scoreless here. 10:30 left on the clock. Lucas DeYoung taking it up midfield, but hands it over to Ekeroth. Creeping up to the right side, now during the center, to Carson Barton trying to find some room. Gives it off to Dean Farrell. Pass it over to X, that's Zadek. And Zadek to Austin Ekeroth, going lefty, but a nice block there by Austin Pals. Now Lopes ball, and they're on the charge.
Ball.
Jonah Wolf, and a quick shot there, and the Lopes are the first to score. Noah Starr earns his 7th goal of the season, and the underdogs now take the lead.
The Longhorns definitely surprising. I thought it was going to be the Lopes who scored it first, but they came out swinging and they got the goal. Interesting thing about this Longhorn offense, Michael said that they lost 5 of their top goal scorers last year, but not just that, it was 7 out of their top 10 top goal scorers. That's a lot of manpower to lose.
Yeah, a lot of seniors graduating for the Longhorn team last year, and it's affected them greatly. I mean, they have not scored over 5 points in a game, but early charge. Dianatis with the shot, but another great save by Pals. Looking sharp already. Pals getting the start this season, did not play last year because they had an All-American goalie. Isn't that right, Tony?
Exactly. Sadly, graduated last year, didn't see the field this year. So, but it looks like the replacement's been doing perfectly right now.
Now the Lopes back on the charge. Now lead the Lopes 1-0. Now over to Kaker. Giving it back to Wolf. And they're taking their time once again, playing their ball. Longhorns still with possession. Marshall Allen with the ball. Now giving it up to Kaker again. Still circling around the field. Little ring around the rosy, never hurt nobody. As Kaker now has it.
And they're up right now. There's no pressure on them. They're just trying to find that open hole, trying to be patient with it. Right now it's up to GCU to force that turnover and get the quick goal.
You know, not many people thought the Longhorns were going to strike first in this game. GCU normally scoring very early. We saw that against Liberty, been a quick... Kaker thought about taking the shot there.
Carson Barton scored almost before the 30-second mark against Liberty. And Dean Farrell's been doing amazing as well in his previous matches. So everyone thought that one of those two players was going to be the first to score this game.
And Rossiker eventually turns the ball over. Lopes now with the ball. Dianatis now taking it up. Pass it over to Carson Barton. Spinning around, trying to juke his way out, but he's being double teamed behind the back pass into the stick of Chris Holland. He's making his move. Dean Farrell with the jumping catch. Trying to slow things down, but he is being covered by Hayden Klaus. Being very physical today, and the Longhorn bench is getting pumped up. GCU's coaching staff is not very happy as the Longhorns now have possession once again. Noah Starr with the ball. One of the stars on this Longhorn team.
I see what you did there.
Oh,
Troy.
man, I love bad puns. It's terrible. But just letting you know, we are an interactive broadcast brought to you by the Walter Cronkite Sports Network. But if you want to tweet at us, go ahead. My Twitter handle is at Mr. Troy Lynch, and Tony Matakeens is at Tony Morrow 11. That's Marro. And if you just want to say who you're rooting for, who you think the player of the game is, or just want to shout out, please tweet at us, and we'll give you a live shout out on our broadcast.
Maybe put in a bad pun here or there.
Yeah, maybe a bad pun here and there if you want to tell us a joke. Whatever floats your boat. But now Tate Linfold, one of the defensive captains, gets the ground ball for the Lopes. And Ferguson trying to give it up. Desperately trying to get it past the midfield line. Nobody getting open. The Longhorn defense being very sturdy as they still lead 1-0 with 6:30 left here in the first. Few Longhorns and Lopes are down. But there is an antelope on the ground, and he is holding his ankle. That's going to be Ryan Ferguson, a senior midfielder. And he is not getting up so far. One of the trainers on the team, or at least on the field, checking him out. And the players on the Longhorn side are going to take a knee. You never want to see that, though, Tony. I mean, I know lacrosse is a very physical game, but bumps and bruises here and there. But you never want to. Never want to see somebody get hurt.
It's a friendly sport. Of course, you want to get the goal. You want to get possession of the ball, but you never want to hurt anyone intentionally. When these kind of things happen, both teams know that it's not a good thing, and they have major respect.
Well, he is getting up by the help of a coach and Carson Barton, but he is limping off, favoring his left foot. But we're going to resume play here shortly. Because once again, that was Ryan Ferguson. Looks like he injured his right ankle. But we'll have clarification on that. Most likely after the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got him off pretty fast, too. I mean, it could just be a cramp. It is really hot out here, and if players aren't getting hydrated well, they could just be getting cramps. But it does look like he did hurt his ankle.
Yeah, but no matter how many injuries occur to the Lopes, I mean, it's going to greatly benefit this Longhorn defense, and they have been struggling as of late, both defensively and offensively. They have yet to score over 5 goals in a game this season. They lost to Chapman 12-3, lost to Sonoma State 18-5. Actually, I was incorrect. They actually did score 16 on Houston, and they beat Louisiana 14-3. But every time they've lost, they have not scored above 5. When they played Cal, they lost 13-4, Virginia Tech 12-5, and Arizona, which was last night, only scoring 1 goal. Noah Starr with the assist, and Marshall Allen with the only goal of the game, just showing how much this Longhorn team has been struggling.
Nevertheless, they are on their way to scoring more than 5 goals this game. They've scored already. They could do it again, and they're all pumped up enough to do it.
Good start for the Longhorns, still leading GCU 1-0 with 6:23 left here in the first. And after a timeout by the Lopes, we're going to resume play here shortly as Austin Powles is going to take it up for the Longhorns. Looking for somebody, eventually finds Turner Kerr, who actually was a LSA first-team all-conference. He was a first-team all-conference defender for the Lone Star Alliance, and now Zadek with some room, he's going to shoot, and he's going to score. Drew Zadek, number 22, for the Lopes, now tying things up here at 1 with 5:59 left here in the first and getting the Lopes offensive started.
And we've mentioned this before. They have Carson Barton. They have Dean Farrell. But they also have other guys like Drew Zadek who can score. And that's going to be the biggest thing for this GCU offense. They know they're going to get 3 or 4 goals from Carson Barton. But it's all these other guys getting goals that's going to increase their points.
Drew Zadek making it look easy coming off the right side of the crease. But now we're going to get another face-off. Ron Hamway with the Lopes. He has been absolutely dominant this season so far. wins another face-off against the captain Ethan Gallowitz, and finally gets it back. But talking about Ron Hamway, out of 87 total face-off attempts, he has won 67 of them. So he has only lost 20 times, which is insanely impressive. Ron Hamway, arguably one of the better defenders. We saw him go up against Charles Fianco, one of the star face-off specialists against Liberty, and he won almost every single time.
Exactly, and 67 out of 87, that's a great stat for anything, but especially a face-off, where you have to be so physical, and you have so many great guys in the MCLA, like Zach Handy, who can just dominate the game. But, I mean, I got to give it to Ron Hamway. He's been doing amazing this year.
And he's going to check out of the game. He actually did score a goal in the last game, which was his first of the year. Now Lucas DeYoung traveling up the left side with a right-handed cradle. He's going to do a spin move, give it off to Carson Barton. He's going to find Zadek, who's already scored. Matt Mountain to Barton. He's backing up, trying to find some room, looking for a pick from DeYoung, and he's going to get it. Not a very good pick. But Kerr, and a great catch there by Cody Clark, but the shot blocked by Powles. And a struggle for the ball, but the Longhorns eventually are going to break free. And now Marshall Allen, he's got some room, but he's going to slowly take it off the right side, now to the X. Now back to Noah Starr, who had the first goal of the game for the Longhorns. Now Sam Jones, one of the other captains, sharing the ball quite well. Rossiker with a bad pass there, and that's going to go out of bounds. And it's going to be white ball. Nolan Garman checks it in. Now back to Cody Clark, who had 2 goals in the game against Liberty. One of the breakout freshmen for the Lopes this year, and he's been doing pretty well. Ryan Ellie slowing things down. Game still tied at 1.
You have to give it up to this Texas defense. They've been forcing GCU to slow things down. Normally you have the Carson Barton.
And here's a quick shot, Carson Barton. Did he find the back of the net? Yes, he did. Carson Barton with a nice rebound off a pass from Zadek. And now the Lopes take the lead 2-1 with under 3:30 left to play.
Curse of the commentator, am I right?
The curse of the commentator. Tony, don't ever talk. I'm totally kidding. Tony Marroquin, a great guy. Again, if you want to tweet at him, he is at TonyMorrow11. I'm at Mr. Troy Lynch. Go ahead and tweet at us your play of the game so far, even though it is early, who you want to win, where you're tweeting from. I know if you're listening from Texas, we always want to hear about that. Ron Hamway going to go up against Gallowitz once again. Hamway won the last face-off, and he's going to win another one. Chris Holland now going to take it up past midfield. He's going to clear the ball. And a pass to Carson Barton, who's already got a score. Fakes it. He's going to slow things down right back to Matt Mountain. Score now 2-1 after the last goal by Carson Barton. Now with 3 minutes left to play, Lucas DeYoung going to take it up close to the midfield line. He's being covered by Matthew Frazier. He's a sophomore mini. Now Lucas DeYoung breaks free. Austin Eckeroth thought about taking a shot, going to give it off to Mountain again. Back to DeYoung. And he's being covered up by Kerr, but he breaks free from him. Carson Barton looking for the shot through the legs of Austin Powles. And second goal of the game for Carson Barton.
He just had way too much time to look at that one. Wound back really far and just let it rip.
Barton now passing Dean Farrell on the team in points.
He was already leading in goals before the game.
He was already leading in goals. That was his 22nd goal of the season. And now he's got 36 points on the year. And an interesting note to take on Carson Barton and Dean Farrell, they actually lead the entire MCLA in points per game. Dean Farrell still leads the entire league. He's got 7 goals a game. And Carson Barton, he averages 6.8 goals a game. So those two players are like the Batman and Robin of MCLA lacrosse. as Ron Hamway wins another face-off. Don't know where he was passing it there, but picked up by DiDonatis. Back to Chris Hall, and he scored in the last game. He's going to take a shot, but that one soars high.
So who would you say is Batman and who would you say is Robin?
Well, I'm going to have to say Carson Barton is Batman since he is playing right now, and Dean Farrell is not. Well, he is playing, but he's already got 2 goals in the game. But that one intended to Dean Farrell, but could not extend his stick far enough. But it's going to be orange ball. But Carson Barton, his first 2 years, he is a senior this year, but his first 2 years in the MCLA, he scored 165 combined points. That's insane. Dean Farrell breaking out this year, but also Carton Barton didn't even get to play last season.
He tore his ACL.
He tore his ACL during fall ball, but now he is back, and he is absolutely
Better than ever.
Better than ever. Now back to Cusiano, who's going to pass it behind the net. Now in the stick of Marshall Allen, who struggles to get the pass, but he eventually is going to pick it up. Sam Jones now gives it off, and here comes Cusiano. Now back to X with a nice juke there. Allen with the only goal in last night's game against Arizona, now with the left-handed cradle. Bringing it behind the net once again, slowing things down. Looking for a pick from Cusiano. He's going to get it. Now in front of the crease, picks it up, but a nice save by Suchen. Now looking for somebody to pass to. Eventually gives it off to Sason. Now to Tate Linford, one of the captains for the Lopes. And a long pass there, but he's going to pick it up as Chris Loper tries to stay on side. Zadek with the first goal of the game for the Lopes, and now with the ball. Gives it off, finds some room, a bounce pass, but just a little too high. But it's still going to be Lopes' ball. Cody Olson now with it. Good pass to Tyler Eckeroth. Winding up, going to stop. Nice juke to the left, still with the right-handed cradle. Spinning away, finding some room. Gets a pick, not going to take the shot. Now winding up to the right side, he's going to shoot, he's going to score! Top left corner for Austin Eckeroth.
He wanted that goal as soon as he crossed half field. He knew he was going to take it. He knew he was going to score, and he just did not give up that ball. Found that hole, wound up, and just nailed it in the back of the net.
Austin Eckeroth, he is not afraid to shoot the ball. We saw that all the time against Liberty just the other day. Only had 1 goal in that game, but he's already got a goal in the first quarter while we are winding down with 7.1 seconds left. But don't you worry. We still have 45 minutes left to go in this game. But now we're going to get another face-off. And Longhorns are actually going to win the face-off. And that's going to mark the end of the first quarter. But don't go away, because we're going to get a sideline report coming from Trey Lanthier and the update on Ryan Ferguson and how he's doing right now. But don't go away, and we're going to take a quick break. And you're listening to the Walter Cronkite Sports Network as the Lopes lead the Longhorns 4-1, and we'll be right back in the second quarter. Welcome back to Grand Canyon University, where the Lopes are leading the Longhorns 4-1. But Ryan Ferguson got injured there in the first quarter. But luckily for you, we have Trey Lanthier with a Ferguson update. What do you got for us, Trey?
Yeah, it's actually not a Ferguson update in the usual sense of that word, being how the news has been this past year, but a Ryan Ferguson update. He's in a lot of pain. It's an ankle injury. Not sure if it's a break or a sprain, but it was taped up with a lot of ice, and he is still in a lot of agony on the sideline. We'll try to keep you updated as this game develops, guys.
Thank you so much, Trey. Always love hearing your voice.
Head away.
And yeah, bad break for the Lopes. Ryan Ferguson, a great player, one of the seniors on the team for the Lopes. But face-off win by Ron Hamway, but the Longhorns are going to come up with the ball. Being trailed by Chris Holland, but he eventually finds some space and gives it off to Marshall Allen. Gallowitz, one of the face-off specialists, but also a midi captain for the Longhorns. Kaker now with the ball, gives it off to Sam Jones. Circling around the net, trying to find some space. Chris Loper to Kaker. Now Kulika with the ball, making his way to the left side. Eli Sason, but he's going to take a shot a little too far to the right.
I think that went off his foot.
I believe it went off his foot. And Didonatis is going to pick up the ground ball, but then eventually loses it. Gets it swatted away by Sam Jones. Chris Holland now back with the ball, traveling up the near side. Looks for the wraparound check, and he's going to get it. Sam Jones with a nice check on Holland. Lopes are falling down left and right. But there is a whistle. They're going to get some time. Zadek with the left-handed pass. Back to Austin Ekaroth, who just scored the last goal for the Lopes. Traveling up the middle with the right-handed cradle. Trying to find some room. And Cody Clark, one of the freshmen for the Lopes now, he has the ball, traveling up the left side. And Dean Farrell is playing in today's game. We saw him, he got hit pretty hard in the game against Liberty.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to play this game because I thought he was going to be too hurt.
Yeah, he was holding his right side after the game. But he's a tough dude, and he's gonna stick it out and try to play the game. He did score in the game. He had one goal.
He did, and he got hurt early on in the game and played the rest of it.
And a great pass there. Matt Mountain thought about taking a shot, but bounces off the knees of Powell's. So now Dean Farrell with a nice jump juke there. With the left side creeping up towards the middle. Now to Austin Ekaroth. Sprinting down to the right side to Carson Barton. Thinks about it. Not going to do it. Dean Farrell. Now to Matt Mountain. Now coming up near side of the net. And Zadek scores again. Second goal of the game for Drew Zadek. And now the Lopes are up 5-1.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if Texas saw him there. He kind of just creeped up from behind and took a quick shot. There's nothing much that they could have done there.
Well, it's all thanks to the coaching of Manny Rapkin. It's his 5th year here at Grand Canyon University. His first year here, he was an assistant coach, and this year is his 4th year. They started off in Division II, and 2 years ago, back in 2013, they transferred to Division I and made the national tournament their very first year. And another battle as the ball is loose, but it was a pushing battle between Gallowitz and Hamway. Nobody really won. They both kind of just fell down.
Gallowitz showing that he knows that Ron Hamway is a great face-off specialist, but he's not going to be pushed around, showing his dominance there.
Ron Hamway, not the biggest person, about 5'9", 180. And losing to him could make you very frustrated, as he is arguably one of the best face-off specialists in the league. We've said it before. Now Lucas DeYoung looking for a shot. Gets double-teamed for a second. Mountain to Cody Clark with the elevator shot, but it's going to be a little too high. And we're back in action as Zadek, who scored the last goal, just passed it a little too high above Barton's head, and it's going to be orange ball. a good audience size here today at Grand Canyon University. But we'll talk about that later as the Lopes are back onto the attack. Lucas DeYoung, he's going to wind up, but hits the top post. Almost makes the score 6-0 as Lucas DeYoung looking for his first goal of the game. But unfortunately, a little too high.
Just a little unlucky.
Lacrosse, definitely a game of inches. Cody Clark, who shot just to go. He gives it back to Carson Barton, one of the captains for the Lopes this season. He's in a juking match with a Longhorn traveling up the right side. Now back into the X. And here comes his chance. Zadek, once again, looking for his hat trick. Dean Farrell thought about passing. He's going to fake it. Now backing up as he's being covered up by Klaus. But now back into the stick of Cody Clark. He's being covered up by Jonah Wolf. But Austin Eckeroth, who has scored today, gives it back to Carson Barton with the submarine shot, but he's not going to get it.
It almost looked like that little scoop goal that Dean Farrell had against San Diego.
And there's a quick shot. Cody Clark. Nope. Bounced right off the ground and hit Pals right in the chest, and it's not going to be good. But Cody Clark with a few shots here in the past minute, but none have gone in the back of the net. Now the Longhorns on the charge. They struck first in this game. Lopes slow to start, but then they have scored the last 5 goals. Still 9:50 left to go here in the second quarter. Score is 5-1. Now on the stick of Cusiano. Now ring around the Rossi, Marshall Allen. Gonna give it back. Back to McCabe. McCabe checking in for the first time today with a submarine shot, but a little too far to the right. Suchin really hasn't faced any trouble except for early on in the game. And the Longhorns starting to find their offensive rhythm again, starting to shoot. Now coming up the far side of the crease. Creeping up is Noah Starr. And it's still going to be orange ball, even though Suchan desperately trying to get his stick closest to it.
Suchan's been an interesting character this year. I don't know if you remember against Liberty, he completely came out of his cage and just tackled one of the offensive players because he wanted to get the ball. He's not a person to just stay there and wait to block the ball. He's definitely one to go forth and try and stop it before
Chris Holland with the score! Off a great assist pass by Dean Farrell and from Josh Gruwell, who records his second point of the year. The freshman defensive midi getting his first assist of the year, and Chris Holland getting his fourth goal. Fourth goal. We saw him score against Liberty. He's finding his offensive rhythm too. I mean, it's not just Carson Barton and Dean Farrell doing all the work. I mean, we've seen the past few games that GCU, they can score with pretty much anybody.
Yeah, I've said it before. GCU's like a hydra. You can cut off one guy, but you have 2 other guys coming at you, willing and able to score.
And another face-off here. This time it's not going to be by Gallowitz, but Paul Grady. And he's going to be awarded with possession, as now the ball's in the backfield. Noah Starr still with possession, trying to find some room, trying to get past Sackett Keeson. As now the captain, Sam Jones, gives it off to Kaker, but gives it right back to Sam Jones. Cusiano. Now creeping up, trying to find his way to the right side. He's being covered up by Josh Gruwell, who just had an assist to Holland's goal. And Sam Jones trying to find some room, but the ball is now loose, and it's going to be white ball.
This is starting to seem kind of like a problem for Texas. This isn't the first time that they've done a bad pass like that, and they keep giving up balls. They get into these good offensive attacks, but they just can't keep the ball to themselves.
Panicky turnovers are never good, and especially against a high caliber offense like GCU, if you start giving up the ball on your own mistakes, that's gonna convert into some points for GCU. But Dean Farrell, he's been quiet today. He does have an assist, but he gives it off. And now the Lopes back in their offensive territory. That was Dean Farrell's 36th point. And now Lucas DeYoung gives it off. And now Farrell with the left-handed cradle. Spin move to his right side. He's got some room. Gives it back to X, which is Barton. Now Cody Olson back in the game. He's got Ryan Ellie in the backfield. Looking at him with his peripheral vision. Now creeping up behind the net. And he's coming up far side of the crease. Tried to turn around, but good defense there by the Longhorns. Matt Mountain. Back to Dean Farrell. Tries to juke, but he falls down. A nice move, but then he gets hit by 3 Longhorns in the process. There's a scuffle going on right in front of the crease, but now picked up by Pals.
It's like those hungry hippos kind of things.
Exactly. But the Longhorn Hippo won, if that makes any sense at all. But now with possession, looking for their second goal of the game. Once again, they struck first, but they have not struck since the first quarter. 6:16 left to go here in the second. As Kudelka rolls it off to Kaker, who's sprinting off to the right side, but he's going to hand it off. Now here comes Noah Starr with a nice juke move, getting closer to the goal, but it's going to be a turnover. Chris Holland.
And this is just what we were just talking about, those panicky turnovers that just can't happen. They can't score if they don't have the ball.
Nathan Smith thought about taking the shot. One of the long stick middies. And Lucas DeYoung has some room. Going to give it back to Carson Barton. Thought about winding up. Now he's moving back. And he's being covered up by Nick Lanfer. Now Eckeroth up at the top of the key. And Cody Clark checks back into the game. Eckeroth, he has scored in today's game. Now making his attack. Dean Farrell. Now ring around the Rosie. Wide open net. Oh, but Cody Clark could not find the back of the net. He had nobody in front of him, but it's going to result in a timeout by the Longhorns. With 5:06 left to go here in the second quarter, GCU still leads 6-1. We'll tell you who scored here for Texas. Noah Starr with the lone goal for the Longhorns, and Zadok with 2 goals for the Lopes, and Barton also with 2. Austin Eckeroth has scored 1, and Chris Holland also has 1. But I mean, Texas, we've talked about their offensive struggles, but Tony, what do they need to do to get back into this game?
They have to stop giving up the ball, They're giving up the balls in panicky attacks. They're not really covering as well as they should be. They're letting guys like Drew Zadok just sneak up on the outside of the goal, and that's how they've gotten most of their goals. So they really have to start communicating a lot in defense and stop being so panicky on the attacks.
And Kyle Loda, he's been doing the best he can. I mean, this is his first year as a head coach. He's been an assistant coach for the past 2 years. But, it's been hard for him, losing over 15 players off of last season's team. And then you got to come into this season, and they only have 5 seniors on the team. So lack of leadership and lack of experience, and that may be why they've been struggling as of late.
Exactly. If most of their guys haven't had much time on the field, and as much as you can practice as much as you want, but it just doesn't really transfer over to actual game time. It's not the same kind of feel. So for a lot of these guys, this is their first go around. They might be a little bit better next year, but for right now, they just need to start getting a groove of things.
It's also probably one of the hardest road trips you're ever going to take during the season. Got number 8 Arizona. They've been great this year so far. Defeated the Longhorns 11-1 last night. And then you got to play number 7 GCU today. and then you have to play number 2 Arizona State on Monday. Dean Farrell, why am I even talking? With a great left-handed shot, finds the left corner of the pole off a bad angle, but he found a way and earns his first goal of the game. And now the Lopes, up by 6. But that just goes to show how talented Dean Farrell is. Even when he does not have the best angle, he could score from pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, most people say where there's a will, there's a way. I say where there's Dean Farrell, there's a way to score.
Absolutely. Dean Farrell, we'll do the stats here for you right now, picked up his 19th goal of the season. He's now got 37 points, and he now leads in points on the Lopes team once again. 1 over Carson Barton, and a huge scuffle there, picked up by Didonatis with another ground ball on today. And here's another pass. Carson Barton could not hold on to the ball. A little
Nearly
too
got that
high,
down.
but he checks him. A Longhorn loses his stick. Jonah Wolf has to pick up his stick.
Loses it again
Drops
accidentally.
it right back. Didonatis then loses the ball again. And then Wolf, he's going to get the ground ball. And a bad pass there. Not going to get the clear. But Nolan Garman, one of the defensive captains for the Lopes, he gets the ground ball. Now back to Carson Barton. Winds up but fakes. And here comes the shot. And Cody Olson bounces the ball in. And now the Lopes extend their lead to 7.
That was an interesting goal, too, if you saw. He didn't really kind of wind up. You just kind of poked it in there.
I mean, in lacrosse, you can score in so many ways. You can be right in front of the crease. You could be at least like 30 feet away. And if you have the shot strength, you can score for almost anywhere. And GCU, they definitely have all those capabilities. They can shoot from far away. I mean, we saw Zadek, he was all alone when he scored his second goal of the game. And GCU, 8-1. That's the score right now, as they have possession yet again. Eli Sason with the ball gives it off to Farrell, who gives it off to Barton. 3:53 left to go in the second quarter, as the Lopes and the Longhorns making their exchanges. Another ring around the rosy here. But Ryan Ellie now with the ball, taking it from the far side. And he's being covered up by Matthew Frazier, a sophomore midfielder. And he's had his hands full today. Now he breaks free, looking for somebody to pass to. And the ball's now on the ground. But he picks it right back up. Olson to Carson Barton. Fakes to Dean Farrell with the second goal of the game. Lopes go up 9-1 as Dean Farrell earns his second goal, increasing his points lead on the team and probably bettering his points per game, which he already leads in the MCLA.
And that's just what Dean Farrell's got to do. That's what he does best. He looked back before he even had the ball, knew exactly where the defenders were, knew exactly where the goalie was, so he could just receive the ball, turn around, and shoot. He didn't have to think about it twice. He knew exactly what he wanted to do.
Farrell with the last 2 goals here for GCU. And he is one of 3 players with 2 goals on his team. The other 2 players are Carson Barton and Drew Zadek. And they're just making it harder and harder for Texas to make a comeback here. Now Josh Gruwell with the ball. He's going to give it up to Chris Holland, who also has scored in today's game. Carson Barton decides to share with the freshman, that being Cody Clark. Slowing things down here in the second quarter, 2:38. Score is 9-1. Grand Canyon is winning. Cody Clark finding some room on the left side. Carson Barton was at the top of the crease, but it was a bad pass, and now we have a loose ball. Still in Lopes offensive territory, but eventually picked up by Ethan Gallowitz. sophomore midi, but also takes most of the face-offs for the Longhorns. What were you going to say, Tony?
I was going to say just another bad pass. I wish we had the stats for the amount of time that GCU has had the ball compared to how much time Texas had the ball, because I think that's really one of the biggest things hurting Texas. Then it's not that they have a bad offense per se, it's just that they haven't had the ball to attack.
Sason Eli creeping up, but a great stop there. A flag is thrown. Bryce Arden with the interception, but now the ref's going to stop the game. And I believe it is still going to be Grand Canyon's ball. But Austin Powles, the goalie for Texas, it's been a rough day. Already 9 goals, and we haven't even started the second half of the game. 1:42 left on the clock. And Texas, if they want to tie things up, they need to score 8 more goals. Still a lot of time left here to go in lacrosse. That's the beauty of it. You can be down by a lot and still come back.
Oh,
And
definitely. They have their North Star to lead them all the way there, too.
absolutely. And Dean Farrell thought about taking the elevator shot, but the ball came right out of his stick.
Kind of lost it in the windup.
You could see his confusion as both of his hands were out by his sides. Like, what the heck just happened? But another shot there. Thought it nicked off the top right corner of the post. Looking for the hat trick, and he would have led his team in goals. But it's going to be no score. Lope's still up by 8. Nearing the 1-minute mark, but a shot by Lucas DeYoung. Now puts the Lopes up by 9. Grand Canyon now in double digits as they lead the Longhorns 10-1. DeYoung scoring his only second goal of the season. He now has 5 total points, but one of the sophomores on the team who really stands out. I mean, GCU is still a pretty young team. They have 12 freshmen on the team, and if the score keeps going the way it is, we're going to see a lot of those freshmen here today getting their chance and getting a lot of playing time.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about the seniors on the team, but you also have to give credit to all these freshmen and sophomores who have been giving the ball to the seniors for them to score. You have your Cody Clarks, your Cody Olsons, you have your Lucas DeYoungs, who are the catalysts for these goals.
Now Chris Holland for Grand Canyon back with the ball. Grand Canyon spending most of their time in their offensive territory. Suchan, he's squatting down over by the goal. He's looking pretty lonely. But a bad pass there. That one by Alex Garwood. But it's going to be orange ball. 27 seconds left here in the first half of the game. But now the Longhorns have a chance to attack. And gives it off to Kutica. 16.3 seconds left. But Texas is going to call a timeout, try to see if they can strategize a plan to score as we go into halftime. And keep your eyes locked on your computer screens because we are going to have a halftime show. Well, not really a show, but a halftime report.
An update.
Well, I mean, every time you see Brett Deckert and Michael Barron, you think it's a show. You always love seeing those guys. And
you got to just glory in Brett's hair. Is just oozes just amazement.
It's fantastic. And Michael Barron, that guy, his knowledge about the MCLA is absolutely outstanding. And both of those guys put together, I mean, they could be the Batman and Robin of our broadcast team.
There you go. Why haven't we thought about this earlier?
I don't know. And now it's confusing to me because I said Carson Barton might have been the Batman, but Dean Farrell, he's making a strong case for himself right now, scoring 2 goals already. And DeYoung with the score. Barton also has 2 goals. But these 2 guys, it's fun to see them. It's hard to say, but I bet they have a little competition between each other to see who can score more. And it's like, oh, I'm leading the team in points and you're not. And
Hey, we talked to the coach the other day, Manny Rapkin, and he said that there's not really much of a competition there. But they're guys. I mean, we're guys. They're competitive. We know that has to be at least some kind of, hey, I got more goals than you this game.
Yeah. Carton Barson's still leading the team in goals. He has 22. And Michael Barron, definitely either Batman or Robin. I don't know. They might be able to talk about it during the halftime report. But we're back in the action, under 15 seconds left to go. And now Gallowitz, one of the captains, trying to explode to see if he can get some room. He shoots, but it's going to bounce way in front of the goal. Longhorns could get the last shot, 4.8 seconds left, but the clock is ticking. Suchin going to Hail Mary it down. Ball is still loose, and there is the buzzer to end the second quarter. And Grand Canyon now leads Texas 10-1. But Tony, I want to get what's going on. Is it GCU doing something really well, or is it Texas who really needs to step up?
GCU's just doing a great job of keeping the ball. They're not making many mistakes. They're passing the ball really smartly. Excuse me.
Smartly,
Smartly, yeah.
What, are we in college? I don't know. We go to Arizona State, so our education
They're
is
making
very limited.
smart passes is what I meant to say. I just went down the wrong road.
That's okay.
I made a panicky pass there.
Which is what you making a metaphor to Texas passes right now. But yeah, I agree. It's going to be a struggle for Texas to try to come back, but anything is possible in the sport of lacrosse. Only 10 minutes for halftime, so we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to send it over to Michael Barron and Brett Decker with the halftime show. And if you're lucky, you might even get to hear Trey Lanthier's voice a few times if he ever gets a report. But if you ever want to tweet at us, I'm at Mr. Troy Lynch. Tony is at TonyMorrow11, and go ahead and tweet at us who you want to win, who you're rooting for, where you're tweeting from, and who do you think the player of the game is going to be. But that's going to be it for us until the second half. GCU leads Texas 10-1, and we're going to take a quick break. Still hang with us.
the campus of Grand Canyon University. Brett Deckert alongside Michael Barron. Matchup between the Texas Longhorns and the GCU Lopes, the number 7 team in the country. The Longhorns unranked, and well, the result at halftime kind of follows that. 1-0 was our score just a couple minutes into this game. The Texas Longhorns jump out on top, and they kind of set the pace early, exactly what you talked about. And then the Lopes do exactly what else you talked about. They answered 10 unanswered goals. We're at the half with a 9-goal lead in favor of the Lopes. How did we get there? Kind of break it down a little bit more.
Well, Texas started out the way they probably wanted to, going up 1-0, as you said, and they were really fired up. I heard from their sideline they were all really excited into the game, but GCU looked a little slow out to the start, but they responded well. I love their response, and they put 10 straight up. They silenced that Texas sideline, and, they're doing really well right now, GCU.
What are they doing really well especially? This is a really deep team, and for 10 goals on the board, it's hard to say what are they doing wrong, but let's focus on what especially they're doing well. What is the strength so far for them?
Well, from that point where they basically tied the game and took the lead from there, they've really been passing a lot better. They've been passing a lot better, and their speed has been a lot better. They've been a lot more quick. They're a little slow out of the start, I felt, but once they sort of got that response goal, they were rolling from there. I love their speed. Their transition's been really good. And, they've been able to put it on net, and they've been able to get some great shots on goal. Their shots are so quick with the stick movement, just really quick, flip, flip, flip. I mean, it's really hard for me to even keep track of that ball.
Yeah, and I know you were worried about, before the game, the pace of GCU and how they would respond, because Texas did seem to be the more enthused team coming in today. It's a bigger matchup for them than it is for GCU almost. It's a statement game for them, but obviously GCU with the response. But with the big lead that they have, how do they come out in the second half and continue the pressure and keep trying to play with as much smarts and as clean as they are, given the immense lead, and that they're not really going to have to battle too much in the second half to keep it?
No, I'd say just stay the course where they have been, especially that second quarter for GCU was phenomenal. They did not allow a goal in that second quarter, and just basically stay the course, but also remember they have to play really great defense. They need to play great defense in the second half. Don't want to give Texas an opportunity to try to get back in this game. They want to stay the course, play great defense. If they can do those things, they should be good to go for the second half.
What about the Longhorns? They're coming in down 9 goals, and they went on this road trip thinking, we might not win these games, but these games we got to take things away from. What do they take away in the second half, and what can they do to give themselves a better lesson after this one?
Well, I think in this second half, if Texas can put some goals on the board, maybe make this one perhaps a little bit closer, battle really with GCU, maybe not give up so many goals. They can have a good mindset coming out of this game. They could say, hey, maybe we didn't have such a great first half, but we had a phenomenal second half, and maybe we can take this energy when we leave the state of Arizona and head back to Texas.
All right, well, our commentators, Troy Lynch and Anthony Marroquin, mentioned Batman and Robin on the broadcast crew. I'll give you the tag as Robin as I'm kind of running the show things. Batman over here. We're going to send it back to Troy and Anthony. Not quite yet, though. A couple more minutes until game time resumes. For now, you're watching MCLA Lacrosse on the Walter Cronkite Sports Network. Tony and Anthony will be back with your game call in just a few minutes.
And welcome back here to Grand Canyon University, where it is a balmy 86 degrees outside, perfect lacrosse weather, and we're getting right into it here in the third quarter as there's a new goalie in front of the net for Texas. Austin Powles is going to take a rest as Matthew Meters checks in for him. And during the face-off, not sure if you saw it or not, but we had two new people for both sides. But now the Lopes are back onto the attack.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how Matthew Meters does. He's also a sophomore. Has just about the same save percentage as Austin Powles. Not as great, .469, but not that far off from Powles' .571.
Suchin's still in the goal for GCU, but yeah, back to Powles and Meters. They both split some time. They played in every single game so far. It's just Austin Powles gets a little more time than Meters does. But both sophomores, by the way, too. So definitely have a competition going on within the team at that goalie spot.
I think they're just trying to mature one of them, or both of them, to be their starting goalie.
Definitely hard just being thrown into the fire, too, after losing an All-American goalie like they had last season. And like we said, Texas losing 15 of their players, almost half of their team last season. So they've definitely had to rebuild. And Kyle Loda has his hands full, but he's a great guy. You know, really smiley.
We got to talk to him before the game. He was very happy to talk to us. Very nice.
Great guy, a lot of smiles, and he told us, you know, you got to stay positive. Even though you lose a few guys and you're struggling, you know, you got to worry about yourselves. And right now, they're still 2-0 in conference play. So, and they're still first in the LSA. Yeah. They're right in front of Louisiana State, and they also in front of Texas A&M, who is 3-1 in conference. But that one loss is the only blemish on their record. That's why they're still third in LSA. But LSU, they definitely a team to watch. As one of their players is the leader in the league in points. Hunter Stinson with 56, leading the entire league, and he's definitely a player to watch. But the only difference is they've played 10 games already. And for
so he's had a lot more opportunities to score and garner up those points.
Absolutely. And this is the 6th game for Grand Canyon. So you talk about guys like Dean Farrell and Carson Barton who already have 30-plus points. They're inching their way, and they already have a better points per game average than Luke Stinson does. Like I said earlier in the broadcast, they both lead. Dean Farrell averaging 7 points a game, and Carson Barton averaging 6.8. So two definite firepowers. And if you want to tweet at us who you think your Batman and Robin is on Grand Canyon or on Texas, go ahead and tweet at us. I'm at Mr. Troy Lynch, and Tony Marroquin is at Tony Morrow 11. And right now, so far, the only person who's somewhat tweeted at me is my mom. She favorited my one tweet before the game, but, you know, that's okay. And Texas with the quick shot there. That one by Kudakal. But, yeah, thank you, Mom.
At least your mom tweets at you.
And that one goes right off the post. Texas almost striking back there. Ball still loose now in the middle of the field. Nathan Smith in the middle of the pile. But Texas is going to come right back up with it. Cusiano now with the ball gives it up to Marshall Allen.
And this is what we've been saying. Texas finally has had some possession on the ball, and they almost got a goal off. If they can just keep the ball and stop messing up on some of the passes, they will start seeing those goals rack up.
And if Manny Rapkin's going to decide to take his best face-off specialist, Ron Hamway, out of the picture, that is your time to take advantage. You know, you got some of these guys like Alex Garwood or Freddie Martoni, who's only taken 4 face-offs this season so far. And a shot there, but a great save by Suchin. Shot there by the captain, Ethan Gallowitz. But unfortunately, Suchan's stick was right in the way. And now the Lopes are going to have the ball.
No, I love how involved Suchan is in the game. He's not the type of goalie to just sit back. He really wants to. He's antsy for some field time.
Yeah, a little too antsy there. Is that not the greatest pass in the world, and that's going to go out of bounds, and it's going to be orange ball. Grand Canyon spotting the white jerseys and the white helmets with the purple lettering, but wearing the purple shorts with the white lining. A lot of discrepancy to see whether the uniforms are gold and white or, black and blue. Am I right, Tony? But I'm probably wrong.
I think I see black and yellow.
Black and yellow. No, but GCU sporting the white and purple, and Texas sporting the white and orange. But it's not like a normal orange. It's like a dusty
Brown kind of
dusty
orange.
brownish orange, but it's cool. Very cool. I love it. Orange is definitely one of my favorite colors, but I like purple too. But both teams, Texas now on the charge right now. Marshall Allen coming from the X, now circling it around. And he had some open space, but Grady could not hold on to the ball.
And Texas definitely being a lot more patient this time around, not trying to force anything.
Like you said earlier, you can't panic, and some of their passes have been because they were under a lot of pressure, and they just passed it, not knowing where their teammates were. So definitely slowing the tempo down, playing patient lacrosse is definitely going to help them. And Texas, they could still come back, even though they are down by 9. Still a lot of time left. 8:45.
You got a whole half to go almost.
Yeah, exactly. 8:45 left. But here comes the windup and the shot. Stuart Grady, a little too far to the right, but Sue Chan was all over it.
But you know what? If you keep shooting, one of the balls is bound to go into the back of the net.
Absolutely. That is very good lacrosse logic there by Tony Matakeen. But no, I absolutely agree with you. Continue to shoot the ball. Make sure you're a threat, and one is bound to go in.
Exactly. I'd much rather see a Texas who shoots a lot and misses than one who just loses because they don't take any shots.
Absolutely agree with you. And Texas, they have nothing to lose coming in. Oh, and a great pass there. Blocked by the arm of Suchan. Sean Kaker gets robbed of his first goal of the game and Texas's second. But now Nathan Smith, one of the long stick middies for the Lopes, taking it up as he gets the clear. Carson Barton still in the game for the Lopes. Now on the charge. He has 2 goals already. Gives it off to Mount Mountain. Back to Barton. Back to Mountain. And the elevator shot goes a little too far to the right. As the Lopes, there a lot of passes there. Tic-tac-toe a little bit between Mountain and Barton.
That was just beautiful passing, textbook stuff that just leads
And here
to
comes
that.
Dean Farrell back to Barton with the assist. And Barton puts it in. Dean Farrell with the assist and Carson Barton, Batman and Robin, maybe of the MCLA, but they strike again and save the day.
Carson Barton again just had way too much time to look at that. Got the ball wound up as far as he wanted to and just let it rip again.
So that was the 3rd goal of the game by Farrell. Carson Barton's last outing was against Liberty, and he had 5 goals. Dean Farrell, he had an off game. He only had 1, but we think that's because he got a little roughed up in the first quarter. He was holding on to his right side, and we got a whistle here as Cody Olson taking the face-off for the Lopes. That was his first ever face-off attempt, and not sure if he won it or not.
Well, the Lopes do have the ball now.
Lopes do have the ball. That is very correct. Carson Barton with his 3rd goal of the game. And then Dean Farrell, 2 goals and at least 1 assist. Not sure if he has more than that. Score is now 11-1. 7 minutes left to go here in the 3rd. As Lucas DiDonato is coming right up the middle. Back to Barton. Back to the top of the key. And a shot there by Mount Mountain. Bounces off the right post.
I think that one went off the foot, actually.
Did it go off the foot?
It's a little soccer action there.
Matthew Meters, using every part of his body to prevent the ball from going in, has only let up 1 here in the second half. And a bad pass there, and GCU's going to have to recoup. It's a nice move there by Cody Clark. Matt Mountain winds up, but passes it. Cody Clark thought he had it, but he loses it, picks it back up. now making a few moves as he's got nowhere to go, covered up by Anthony Alfonsetti. But Dean Farrell gives it off to Zadek, who looking for Lucas DeYoung, but way over the head. Carson Barton is right behind the ball, however. And it's still going to be Lopes' possession as Texas now substituting some of their players. Matthew Frazier checks into the game. One of their sophomore midfielders. He's played in every single game this year so far. And Nick Lanfer, he's going to take a little bit of rest on the bench. Once again, Ryan Ferguson, one of the seniors for the Lopes, he is out with an ankle injury. We don't know how severe it is yet. But now the Lopes on the charge. Really squeezed in tight in front of the net, but a shot there and a score. Drew Zadek gets his hat trick of the game, and now the Lopes lead 12-1.
Drew Zadek definitely goal hungry today, but I'm not sure how he got that one off. I thought there was way too many guys in front of him. Kind of curved the ball, maybe.
Maybe. Using some Angelina Jolie, where she spins the gun and makes the bullet curve. Drew Zadek using a similar technique. I'm not sure if he learned it from her or not, but
maybe. Watched the movie a couple times.
Yeah, Manny Rapkin, he's got a few tricks up his sleeve, and Drew Zadek is definitely one of them. But now, with 5:48 left to go, Carson Barton is in the way, so we cannot see what the score is. But I'm going to tell you in just a second, it is 12-1. And the Texas Longhorns with the ball. Marshall Allen with possession, but he's going to decide to share it.
You know, and if you're Texas right now, if you're Kyle Loda right now, what do? Do you wait and see if you can make the comeback, or do you let some of your other players get some field time?
That is completely a coaching. That's a coaching decision right there. I mean, it all depends on what the coach is and what his general system is. I'm not sure, but falls down there. Noah Starr hung on to the ball for a brief second, but now it is turned over. Tate Linford, defensive captain for the Lopes, now has it. Close to being out of bounds. He's being covered by Rocky Rossiker. Fun name to say. I have never met a other person named Rocky.
No?
But if he talks like the actual Rocky from the movie, that would make me the happiest person alive.
Maybe we'll talk to him after the game.
I will definitely talk to him after the game. And also, another thing to look out for after the game, make sure you catch our player of the game selfie, as Tony and I will let you know who our player of the game is after the broadcast. And we're going to tweet out a selfie of whoever the player of the game was. Last time the Lopes played, it was Ron Hamway, but we didn't get a selfie with him, so we're going to make up for it today and get a picture. But Matt Mountain with the charge, and he is going to score on meters. Matt Mountain gets his first goal of the game, as he didn't even play last season, but now he's got a goal.
And it's just more and more GCU players getting goals. And we've talked about this before. They have Carson Barton and Dean Farrell, but it's all these other guys who can score along with them that makes GCU such a dangerous team.
GCU now extends their lead by 12 points, leading 13-1 with 4:20 here to go in the third. Now battling out is Nicholas Miller against Paul Grady. Two new face-off specialists we've seen here in the second half. Normally it's Gallowitz and Hamway. But we've seen some new faces here. Suchan still in the goal for the Lopes. But starting in the goal today for Texas was Austin Powles. Now it is Matthew Meters. He's only let up 3 goals here in the third quarter. But it's going to be a tough day, no matter what goalie you are against the Lopes. And now Dean Farrell over to Cody Clark, and he's going to score. Top shelf. 14-1 is the score, and Cody Clark earns his first point of the day.
Just a beautiful shot there. It wasn't placed too wide. He had a small square where he could have shot it, and he placed it just there. almost got that little ding off the bar.
So now making the score 14-1, 3:35 left here in the third. And the Lopes, they are taking advantage right now as Texas, they had the first goal of the game, but have not seen a lot of action from them since. Last night when they played number 8 Arizona, they only scored 1 goal. That one coming from Marshall Allen, assisted by Noah Starr.
It's looking to be another one of those games. Just unlucky for Texas.
Now a little scuffle near the midfield line, but one of the All-Americans, DeDonatis, now with the ball, gives it off to Barton, but back to DeDonatis. Now to Barton, off a little too far to the right. Scarton Barson, he wants to get, well, he actually already has a hat trick.
He nearly put that one in the back of the net, too.
And a huge wind-up there by Austin Eckeroth, but a little too high. He almost hit heaven there. But Austin Eckeroth definitely not afraid to shoot the ball. But Manny Rapkin is not easing up at all. He still has most of his starters in. And that's a quick turnover there. Texas is going to pick it up. Turner Kerr with the ground ball pickup. A first-team all-conference defender in the LSA last season. And one of the captains for the Longhorns this year. But the defense hasn't really been holding up as they are still down by 13 points. But the Longhorns now are on the charge. But, I mean, they've been historically a great team. However, they have never made it past the first round of the national tournament, but they normally make it. They've only lost 4 conference games in Longhorn history.
They've been LSE champions 5 times, 4 of those coming in the past 4 years, excuse me.
Texas has historically been a great program. Unfortunately, with all the players that they've lost, you know, it's hard. However, they still are first in the LSA right now, in front of LSU and Texas A&M.
Yeah, they still have a lot of talent.
Shot there, huge wind up, and results in a score. Austin Eckeroth recording his second goal of the game and putting this one way out of reach for the Longhorns.
Yeah, nobody really contested him there. He kind of ran up from midfield, saw that he had an open goal. Not an open goal, but no one was on him, so he decided to shoot, and he got it.
Don't give Austin Eckeroth a lot of room because he will bite. But it's kind of interesting.
That a reference to his brother and his hand?
No, but but that would have been good if I did that on purpose. Like we said earlier, Tyler Eckeroth not playing today because he has a gash in his hand after he was trying to break up a dogfight and got bit in the process. So he's going to sit out, waiting a few days for it to completely heal so he can come back. But Manny Rapkin giving him the day off. And it's not really looking like they need him, but he is definitely one of the better players. And a shot there, but a great save by Suchan. That shot by Jonah Wolf, one of the junior midfielders for the Longhorns. But back to Tyler Eckeroth. He is a brother of Austin Eckeroth, but there's a shot there by Chris Holland looking for his second goal of the game.
GCU really wants Tyler to get healthy again, especially since they have Colorado and Colorado State coming up. They have ASU not too far after that, so they really want him to get better soon.
And Tyler Eckeroth, brothers of Austin Eckeroth, and cousins of our very own Trey Lanthier. But he transferred this season from an NCAA Division I school, Denver University, which they were number 1 in the nation in preseason this year, and they normally make the Final Four almost every single season. So you got a guy on one of the best teams in the NCAA coming to play Division I in the MCLA. That is always so good to have. I'll tell you his stats in just a second. He's got 8 goals, 5 assists, resulting in 13 total points, picking up 10 ground balls in the process. He's actually a defensive midi on the sheet, but he loves to play offense too. So when you have a guy who can score as well as he does and also play the defense as he does as well, I mean, that Manny Rapkin loves to see that, but that's going to mark the end of the third quarter. Score is now 15-1. Lopes are up, but do not go anywhere as we got a fresh new 15 minutes of lacrosse, and that's going to be the final minutes of the game. But don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Walter Cronkite Sports Network. I'm Troy Lynch, and to my left is Anthony Marroquin, and we'll see you back here in the fourth quarter. And welcome back here to Grand Canyon University, home of the Lopes. I'm Troy Lynch, and by my side, my Robin, Anthony Marroquin, and we got the GCU Lopes playing the Texas Longhorns, but the Lopes seem to be taking this game home with them, even though their home is right here in Arizona, but they're leading by 14. Still fourth quarter left to go here, but before that even gets started, MCLA score update. A lot of great matchups going on. An upset alert going on right now. Min Duluth, number 19 team playing against number 5 BYU. The last updated score about a minute ago was Min Duluth leading BYU 4-3. BYU was the only team that has beaten Grand Canyon University this year, that score being 15-11. But BYU, yeah, one of the better teams in the MCLA and being beaten right now by a number 19 team. We also have number 6 Chapman going against number 4 Cal Poly. Last time we heard, Cal Poly was up 2-1, but last night was an absolutely insane night in the MCLA for lacrosse. You had number 1 Colorado barely beating number 22 Florida State 17-15. You had number 2 ASU barely beating number 16 Liberty 11-10. That one going into the final minutes of regulation. And then number 3 Colorado State, they lose to number 13 Sonoma State 9-8. One of the bigger upsets in the game. And Sonoma State with Brad Berchessa, that guy, he was absolutely insane last year. One of the leaders in points in the entire MCLA. But the interesting thing to note about all of those games is they were all at home. So a bunch of mix-ups here. All these teams who are on paper extremely good, but other teams, they are taking advantage, and almost a ton of upsets going on in the MCLA as of last night.
Yeah, forget about Halloween weekend. This has to have been the scariest week for all these top teams. So many upsets, so many close games. I don't know how any of these guys did it, and especially since you said all of these have been at home. And we have teams like Liberty, who almost beat Arizona State, coming down to literally the last 20 seconds of the game before the last goal was scored. And Duluth almost taking on, BYU. This is a scary time to be a top team right now.
And Texas could not hold on to the ball. Zadok's going to bring it in for the Lopes as they're on the transition right now. But losing the ball there is Trevor Brown. Longhorns are flying, but they're going to transition right back. But Tony, last night was also Friday the 13th, so it might have been a little, I don't even know what the word is, but
Unlucky?
Unlucky, yeah, exactly, for all these top-tier teams. But Colorado State losing to number 13 Sonoma State, that is definitely going to shake up the rankings. Cal Poly and Chapman going head-to-head right now. We'll give you another scoreboard update later on in this game. But Texas scores their latest goal here in the fourth quarter. And now they're down by only 13. But GCU still comfortably in the lead. Lucas DeYoung now finding some room down in the middle. Going to give it off to Cody Olson now in the backfield. But Grand Canyon University, they do not like to lose, and they've scored over 14 goals in all of their wins. The lowest amount of goals that they've scored is 11. That was against BYU, but they beat USD 24-6, and that was a season opener. Dean Farrell had a career high in goals with 7 that game, and then they beat UC Santa Barbara 17-6. Beat Michigan State 17-4, and they beat Liberty just a few days ago 14-9. So definitely a high-scoring team, but also not giving up a lot. Every time that they've won, they've never given up more than 10 points. And this is coming from a team that last year they averaged about 9 goals allowed a game. So the defense definitely stepping up, and today that's probably going to go down as they've only let up 2 goals so far.
Well, more than just the defense, we also have to give it away to Ron Hamway, who we've been talking about all game. Other teams just don't have time with the ball because Ron Hamway's been giving GCU the ball so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ron Hamway, definitely one of the X factors here for the Lopes. We saw him go head-to-head against Charles Fianco, face-off specialist for the Liberty Flames, one of the better face-off specialists in the MCLA, but Ron Hamway didn't really have a problem with him, but Zach Handy, he was a first-team all-face-off specialist, All-America last season, arguably probably the best face-off specialist in the MCLA, but last night when they played the Liberty Flames, he struggled. Zadok there with his score. That's going to be his 14th. That's going to be his 4th of the game. But back to my point, Zach Handy went up against Charles Fianco last night, and he struggled. Charles Fianco really took it to him, and Zach Handy, he struggled the entire game, maybe winning about half. He did start to win more when the game got down to the wire. Game was tied 10-10 with 46 seconds left on the clock, but Cooper Piquel, with 24 seconds left, scores the final goal, and Arizona State barely survives Liberty 11-10.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see Zach Handy go up against Ron Hamway when these two teams face off against each other. I don't know what way that game's going to go because these both face-off specialists are so great.
And I'm so excited for that game, Tony. GCU versus ASU. That's going to be so much fun to watch. Dan Davis, Carson Barton, Cooper Piquel, and Kyle Denis against Dean Farrell. And it's just going to be a great game. Zach Handy versus
Ron Hamway.
Ron Hamway. It's going to be so much fun.
At the very least, it has to be a preview of a Final Four.
Yeah, it most certainly might be. So it's a preview of what might happen in the playoffs.
National tournament game, yeah.
Both teams do have one loss on the season. Like we said before, GCU's only loss coming from BYU.
Arizona's only loss coming to Colorado,
which is the #1 team in the nation, and they lost 15-14 up in Colorado.
So, Colorado right now barely holding on to Florida State, 17-15.
Florida State is ranked. They're number 22 in the nation right now, but still not one of the elite
top 10 teams.
Yeah, elite top 10 teams. I mean, their conference is not the greatest. And just the SLC, it's so stacked. Arizona State, Arizona, Grand Canyon, San Diego State. I mean, the only team that's not doing so hot is University of San Diego. But those 4 teams that I listed right there, it's insane. So the conference here in the SLC is definitely going to be mixed up once it comes down to the end of the season, and it's going to be a lot of fun for us to watch. We're going to have most of the coverage here on the Walter Cronkite Sports Network, and we'll definitely be broadcasting the GCU ASU game.
We'll be bringing a lot more puns to that game.
We'll be bringing a lot more puns, maybe a lot more jokes. Cody Clark with the goal. Clark scored earlier in the third, and that was his second goal of the game. He had 2 against Liberty.
That was just a great run by Clark. He shook off his defender and then just found a one-on-one with the goalie. There's not much you can do as a goalie at that point. Cody Clark just puts it away.
Marking the 17th goal for Grand Canyon University as they now lead by a pretty comfortable amount, by 15. With 9:15 left to go here in the fourth. Time is ticking down in Texas. If they're going to start to make a comeback, it's got to be now. But a face-off won there by Texas. And that one's by the captain, Ethan Gallowitz, but then loses the ball. That one picked up by Nathan Smith, but it's going to... Texas still going to hold on, and they're going to get another chance.
And this is where Texas is really going to have to step it up. GCU's up by a lot. They're up by 15. They're probably really comfortable right now. Not expecting much from this Texas team at this point. They can really start scoring if they just take advantage of that.
I absolutely agree with you. I mean,
Definitely.
then you see one right there. Rossacker had it, and then a few bad movements, and he loses the ball and causing an early turnover. But Chris Hullen now with the ball. He has scored in this game. Only once, though. And he's not a player on the Lopes team that normally scores. He does have 4 goals on the season. 1 coming in this game and 1 against Liberty on Thursday. But Grand Canyon University, what a great campus.
Oh, definitely.
Beautiful skies here today.
Beautiful sunny skies in Arizona. Always clear. Not too hot today.
Yeah, not too hot. Like you said earlier, 86 degrees. And they got some interesting people today. When we were eating lunch, we saw a man on some sort of vehicular device. I'm not sure what it was.
It's like a Segway kind of thing.
It was like a Segway without handlebars, and he was just strolling along like he owned the campus. And, you know, he might have. I've never seen a device like that in my life. But it was so cool because if you didn't see his legs, it just looked like he was floating around. But Grand Canyon was some of the most technological people in Arizona. And they still lead by 15 points. Now 7:25 for the rest of the game. And now we're seeing some new faces as Ryan Hayes checks in the game for Grand Canyon. Matt Mountain and Cody Clark.
But you know what, Troy? I just remembered we never made a bet for this game. We always make a bet.
We always made a bet?
We didn't make a bet for this game. We're going to take the selfie at the end of the game with our man of the match, but we just haven't made a bet yet.
And Cody Clark trying to shoot there, but he gets blocked away, picked up by Texas. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We have not made a bet, but I don't know what there is to bet about yet. Clock is ticking down.
How about the last person to make a goal?
The last person to make a goal. Okay.
Who do you think is going to be the last person to make a goal?
You know what? I'm going to go with somebody who doesn't normally score. I'm going to say it's going to be a sophomore attackman, Tristan Kennedy. He has not recorded any goals or assists on the year so far, but I definitely think it's going to be somebody who's brand new for the Lopes, and I think Tristan Kennedy is going to be the guy to do it.
I don't know. I think he's going to be a familiar face. Dean Farrell really had a couple goals early on in the game. He has that competition with Carson Barton, and he's not winning right now, so I'm pretty sure he's going to want another goal. I think Dean Farrell is going to have the last say in this game.
Well, that last shot there by Nicholas Miller, a freshman midfielder. But it's going to be hard for Dean Farrell to score, especially when he's not on the field, Tony.
I know, but he could come back on. I feel like he's going to come back on. I have this feeling.
All right, Tony's got a feeling. And if you want to tweet at us if you think we're completely wrong or if you agree with us, go ahead and tweet at us. I'm at Mr. Troy Lynch, and Tony is at Tony Morrow 11. And make sure you check in the player of the game selfie. That's going to be on Twitter after the game. But I got Tristan Kennedy, and Tony's got Dean Farrell. And here comes a shot, but that's going to go way up high. Alex Garwood, a junior midfielder who also has not recorded a goal or assist for the Lopes team thus far. But 15-20 now on the clock. GCU still leading by 15.
We have a new goalie out on the field, too, for GCU. Ludus Tanner going in for Suchan.
Yeah, Ludus Tanner. He has played in 4 of the games, but never started in any of them. He's allowed 3 goals on the season, and he has 1 save. So we would tell you what his goals allowed average are and his saves per game, but obviously he hasn't had that many opportunities to put some stats up there. But he's in now for the final about 5 minutes left here in the game. And you're going to give Suchan a break, who was on the 3rd team All-America as a goalie last season. And he was a freshman too, so you don't see that every day. But now, good to see some new faces. Tanner Luders in for the Lopes. That's Kuika trying to find some space, but he's not going to get there. And then ball comes loose after a pass intended for Rossiter. But there's going to be a whistle, and it's going to be a toss and run as GCU is going to regain possession once again. Another freshman for the Lopes checks in, Chandler Morgan, one of the defensive midfielders, as he calls for the ball. And his wish is going to be granted, but the pass is a little too high. And it's going to be right back to Orange. So Dean Farrell was Tony's bet to score last, and mine was Tristan Kennedy. Dean Farrell still not out on the field, but Trevor Brown, you can really tell how tall he is because he towers literally over everybody on the field.
You're right. He's almost as tall as his stick. His stick is almost as tall as he is. He towers over everyone. I kind of want to change my bet. Can I change it?
You can change it.
I want Trevor Brown.
He's a defender, but you go ahead and change it if you want.
I kind of want Trevor Brown to get the ball and run across the field.
Tony, if Trevor Brown scores, I mean, I will do whatever you want because I would love to see that happen.
Could I get you?
But a quick shot there. That one by Chris Loper from Texas, but that sails a little too far to the right. But okay. Instead of Dean Farrell, we got Trevor Brown. 3 minutes left.
Well, we saw against Liberty last time against GCU. One of the Liberty defenders took the ball from this side of the field.
That is very true.
Scored.
Tommy Rolowitz took it coast to coast and scored on Suchan. That was a great goal, too. He had a ton of space. Shot there. But Luters doesn't even have to move his stick as it sails a little too far to the left. But yeah, Tommy Rolowitz, one of the long stick defenders for the Liberty Flames, he scored. So Trevor Brown could easily do that. And maybe if that happens, we could get Trevor Brown's little brother on the broadcast, because that's exactly what we did. With Tommy Rolowitz had a younger brother, huge fan of Trey Lanthier, and he tweets at him all the time. So we put Mark Rolowitz on the broadcast. Only 12 years old, and his knowledge of the MCLA is great. Knows a ton about the Liberty Flames, and like he'll send his own polls to Trey. Like, he knows so much.
He almost called last night's game between Liberty and GC and Arizona State. Excuse me. Nobody else expected that game to be so close, but he called it almost perfectly.
Almost perfectly. He predicted that Liberty was going to take the win 10-9. We all thought, that probably won't happen, but it almost did. When the game was getting down to the wire, we were all kind of sweating, looking at each other like, oh my gosh, who is this kid? Like, he is a genius. But unfortunately for Mark, he was wrong, but so was pretty much everybody else. But it's so hard to predict games. I mean,
it's a definitely talent.
Like, at the beginning of this game, if you said Texas was only going to score 2 goals, I wasn't going to believe you. But now with 1:25 left, they still only have 2 on the scoreboard. GCU was 17.
Exactly.
You're a man of many words, Tony. But Texas now nearing a minute left with a shot there. That one by Ethan Gallowitz. A midi, but also takes a lot of the face-offs for the Longhorns with another shot. 1:07 left on the clock with Marshall Allen sharing the ball for the Longhorns. And a shot there, that one again by Gallowitz, but a nice save. That one by Luters. The substitute goalie for GCU with a pretty nifty save there. Now the Lopes are winding things down as they're going to try to waste as much time as they can. 35 seconds left. As Tony and I, the bet is coming down to the wire, but I don't even know if GCU is going to even try to score again. 25 seconds left. But a quick turnover there. Texas now on the charge. Tries to pass it, but ends up in the stick of Marshall Allen instead. Loper couldn't hold on to it. But here comes Kaker. Kaker and a quick shot. That one by Kudelka. And Luters is the first one to the ball, so he's going to be granted possession. And 5.7 seconds left. And 3, 2, 1. And the GCU Lopes are going to take the 17-2 victory over the Texas Longhorns. They're going to go 2-0 on the weekend after beating the Liberty Flames on Thursday, and now beating the Texas Longhorns 17-2 on this Saturday evening. But GCU just showing their dominance, showing why they're the number 7 team in the nation. Tony, did you like what you saw today?
I definitely saw what I saw. I liked what I saw from GCU. Very controlled playing, very smart passes.
Not smartly, Tony?
Well, maybe a little bit of that too. But I don't know. If I'm GCU, I'm very happy with my performance today. I might even, if I'm on the GCU team, I might even go find that guy with the Segway without any handles and go celebrate by riding one of those.
Exactly. Well, GCU increases their record to 5-1. And Texas, their record's going to go down a little bit as they are now 2-6, still first in the LSA. But that's going to do it for us here at the Walter Cronkite Sports Network. I'm Troy Lynch, and by my side is Tony Marakin. But don't go anywhere, because we got a post-game report coming to you live from Michael Barron and Brett Deckert. And make sure you tune in for some post-game interviews with the coach and our player of the game. And make sure you check Twitter, because we're going to post a selfie with the player of the game right after both of the teams play. And so we're going to say so long for Grand Canyon from Grand Canyon University. And you guys have a good day, and remember, stay lax.
(17-2), your final score. 15-goal win for the number 7th ranked team in the nation, the GCU Lopes. This is Michael Barron. I'm Brett Deckert. For the third time today, we're bringing you a little bit of info on the game we just saw. Now here for the post-game recap. And Michael, obviously a big win for the Lopes here. They dominated from start to finish, but it was the Longhorns that got the first goal of the game. GCU then answered. But the Longhorns got the first goal. What else did you see out of them in this game that you might have liked?
Well, I thought that they really started the game well, as you said, going up 1-0 early in the first quarter, and their bench was fired up. I really loved it out of them, but I also loved the GCU response. That GCU response was well, but also another thing that I really liked for Texas, they had a better fourth quarter. They really did. They did not allow as many goals, and they got one themselves in that final frame. So, good for them. That's kind of something to build off of. I know that 17-2, maybe not a lot exactly positive necessarily. No, not a lot of positive, but that fourth quarter was a lot better. They didn't give up as many goals, and they got the one. I think now going back to Austin, they can carry some of the momentum from this fourth quarter into when they go back to Austin and play some games there. And they can say, hey, guys, we hung with this GCU team for a good part of the first quarter. And, in the fourth there, we didn't play that bad. We played kind of good.
Yeah, they certainly did slow down the Lopes attack as the game went on. You talked about at halftime, you wanted to see them come out, and obviously it's going to be tough to come back from a 9-goal deficit at halftime, but coming out in the second half, the way they played, they at least improved upon it. For the Lopes, though, it's hard to ask what did you like, but I'm going to ask what did you like especially? There were so many things on the field that went positive for them so far, not just in this game, all season long. What specifically were they outshining the Longhorns there on the field?
I would say passing in the offensive zone. I was watching GCU when they passed in the offensive zone. Their passes were great. I thought they were right on the target. And one of the things that I noticed for Texas, when they get into the offensive zone, they really missed on some of their passes, and that would sort of kill their offensive opportunity. I saw at least, I think, 2 or 3 in the fourth quarter for Texas. But GCU, on the other hand, they did really well at that, and their shots are ridiculous. I mean, those guys can find any space you give them on net, they will absolutely find the goal and the back of the net, and that's just incredible.
Scoring across the board, and the depth of talent on this roster is kind of amazing. And for the Lopes, looking ahead now, 2 games next week against Colorado State and Colorado, the number 1 and number 3 team in the country. It's going to be such a tough road for them, but this is the point in the season where they get to prove themselves a little early before the tournament in just over a month and a half. What do you think for them going ahead in this early week? How do they approach those 2 big games?
Well, I think this is, going in, like you said, this is going to be a really tough road for them. So I think what they have to do is they need to know that their competition is going to be fierce. Colorado, the number 1 team in the nation, and for a good reason, too. Colorado State, yes, they have lost some games, but they are still good. And do not discount them at all. I think that they really need to focus in on practice. They're going to travel to Colorado, and, we'll see when they come back, if they can take the 2 up in Colorado. Even if they can take 1, that would be really good for them. I think they'll still be a great team nonetheless.
All right, well, that's all for Michael Barron and myself for right now. We'll be back in just a brief moment. Some interviews following us with Coach Manny Rapkin for the Lopes, and, of course, our player of the game as well. I believe it's the goaltender, Suchan. We're not exactly sure on that. We'll have it, of course, for you in a minute. You'll know if you see him on screen. If not, it'll be someone else. For Michael, I'm Brett. We'll be back to you in a minute for our post-game interviews.
The name, just full name. Cool. Go. All right, here with the player of the game today, and I think you guys played really well. So what's the key going into next week when you guys have to play Colorado and Colorado State?
Going into next week, our key is going to be just rest up and get ready for our travel. We played a lot of games. We played, I think, 5 games in 8 days. Biggest thing is rest. Right now, all our guys are beat up and tired. We just need to focus more, and today was about us. And we just need to practice harder and get our keys down.
Now, today's game, 17-2 win over Texas. What was the big key in that game? Because you guys went down 1-0 early on, but you guys were really able to battle back and really make a statement with a bunch of unanswered goals. Talk about the turnaround.
I think we came in a little under, not really ready to go. We picked it up. That 1 goal was just a simple mistake. We fixed it. We really needed to focus on our core and defense. 6-on-6 is the biggest thing we need to always improve on. I think we really focused in. I mean, they didn't really have any goals until 4th quarter. We shut them down. We definitely fixed the errors we needed to do and got our matchups on who we needed to match up on.
Now, when you guys go play Colorado and Colorado State, those are going to be 2 really tough road games, as we said. Do you think those are going to be statement games for GCU across the MCLA?
I think they're going to be really important games. I mean, like I said, as a lot of games are going on in the MCLA right now, they're all, it could go either way. I think whether the results of this game are good or bad, I think it's not going to make a statement of what's going to happen. You can always improve and get better, so I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great competition, and I'm excited for the travels.
Okay, well, you heard it here first. The player of the game here for Grand Canyon with a 17-2 win. I'm Michael Barron. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you.
Live now, Brett Deckert, myself, alongside Coach Manny Ratkin for the Lopes. Coach, when you come into a game like this one against a team that's not ranked, but obviously a team, you don't want to put them down at all. What's the mindset when you come in, and what do you tell your players when you might be expecting your team to succeed as they did today?
How you doing? The shoulder hanging in there. Yeah.
Practice
like a little
trying to make those things second nature. So
I gotta break that apart. Yeah. We're hanging in there.
Starts to get away a little bit.
Day by day, lots of PT.
When are you supposed to be back?
I'm
I
redshirted.
think we did a good
Oh, you
job
are
of
redshirted.
staying
Okay, cool.
focused
I've got handy.
really making the best out
No
of
way.
the competition.
I believe in you.
That's what we're trying to do. Just do what
If
we're
I could, I would.
Well, you guys really do it well across the board. The depth of this team is kind of crazy. And what have you seen besides the depth of the course of this season now in the first 5 games? What do you like the most about your team? And going into the tournament, what's kind of your weapon in your back pocket, would you say?
I just like the direction that we're moving as far as playing team ball. Our guys are doing their job, staying focused, and everybody's got a job to do. And I think we're really starting to come together as a team in that sense. Everybody can count on everybody else to take care of business. That's the direction we're
You want to, if you're in
we want to be a dangerous postseason
what happens
team.
is you distract your audience.
Everybody does their job. We're that kind of team.
Well, you got 2 games to kind of show that against Colorado and Colorado State, I should say, coming up, number 1 and number 3 teams in the country. What do those 2 matchups mean to you? Obviously, we're not in the tournament yet, but they're statement games. But does that really mean as much to you, a win over those teams as it does over Texas, would you say?
I think when you go in and you play the number 1 and number 3 teams in the country, obviously it's going to be special. And these are the first time we play Colorado in the regular season. It'll be the second time we play CSU. So they're great teams. We like the competition. We want to play the best. We played 9 top 20 teams this year, preseason top 20 teams. So obviously it's special because of the type of teams they are and the competition that we'll see in Fort Collins and in Boulder. But after that, really, it's taking care of business, getting wins that help us secure us a berth in the postseason.
Well, good luck to you, Coach, on those 2 upcoming games. Congratulations on the big victory today, 17-2 to the final. What a game and what a day it was here at Grand Canyon University. That'll be all for us here at GCU. I'm Brett Deckert. We thank you for tuning in to this production for MCLA on Walter Cronkite Sports Network. Tune us in again the rest of the season for all home games for the Lopes. We hope to join us and you see us here. Thanks for tuning in today. Have a good night.